how you can be the greatest salesperson on the planet.
Welcome to the Rethink Sales Show. My name is Derek Kelly. I'm here with Jim Shorkey. And Jim, off camera, we were just talking about the art of communication. And let's have a conversation about that.
Right.
Why is that so important? You were giving the metaphor example of a handshake. Often you taught in all of the sales trainings you did, you got to look somebody in the eye and maintain eye contact because it's crucially important. And there's just so many ways we can get distracted and off track, and we can lose the attention of our audience.
Yes.
And a big piece of the art of communication in sales is having a clear message that people know how to respond to. If we start to alienate people, if we start to just go off track and lose people or confuse people, guess what? It's not just them that lose, we lose. They don't get the value from the product or service we have, right? And we don't get the value from serving them.
You're speaking into my wheelhouse, and this is going to be a long one. Okay, this is going to be a long one because this is a very complicated thing, but once you understand it, it's very uncomplicated.
It's very simple, yeah.
I have people that'll say to me, I got this friend, he'd be a great car salesman because he's got the gift of gab. And I don't say this because it would be misinterpreted, but my thought when I hear that is exactly what will make him or her a terrible salesperson.
Right.
The art of selling is not the art of talking. I repeat, the art of selling is not, underline, exclamation point. The art of selling is not the art of talking. It's not the gift of gab. The art of selling is the art of listening. Okay? And so you need to really do some Googling and research this. Because when I say what I'm going to say, you're going to say, he's wrong. He's full of crap. Okay? The number for nonverbal communication is 70% or thereabouts. It may even be a little north of that, depending who you talk to. What does that mean? Stephen Covey in The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. The 7 habits of highly effective people. I want to be highly effective. And Stephen Covey's, he's deceased, but he was brilliant. And so I got that book and I said, gee, 7 habits, that seems pretty reasonable, right? I better get them 7 habits going. And one of those habits in the 7 habits of highly effective people is seek first to understand, then to be understood. That, my friends, is the art of selling. Right. So the first step is to understand where the client's coming from, and then to do a presentation and so that you can be understood, your products, your service, whatever the case may be. But we got to understand first. And so I said about nonverbal communication is 70%. I think it's actually a little north of that, but what is nonverbal communication? Nonverbal communication is tonality. The tone of our voice would be 1. Our facial expressions would be 2. How we sit, are we closed up or are we open? Our body, our hand gesticulation. So we're using our hands. I use my hands to talk, and if I want to make a point, that's how I make a point. But when I make that point with words, it's much easier for the other person to understand what I'm trying to say. The nonverbal communication, it covers a lot of ground. And so I want to talk about active listening because remember I said seek first to understand. So that's the active listening part. I've got to really pay attention. And so when I'm listening, I listen with my eyes. I listen with my eyes. And of course I listen with my ears. Okay. I have 2 eyes, 2 ears, 1 mouth. We want to use this thing less and these 2 things more. So I'm going to listen very actively with my ears and my eyes. And when I say something to the client that they like, I'll see it. I won't hear it. I'll see it. I'll see it. I'll see it because their body language they can't hide their body language. So their body language will tell me whether they're reacting positively or negatively to what I just said. And so we used to call it in sales like hot buttons. So I would say, yeah, this car's got X, Y, Z. And you can see them light up like, oh man, I love that. Like maybe, for example, today's a little chilly out there and this car has heated seats. Just push this button and it heats up your seat. Oh, I love that. And they start getting very animated about that. And it's not just the voice, it's the way they express themselves from a nonverbal communication perspective. So we start to learn what the hot points are, what the hot spots are, what the hot buttons are, and then what turns them off. And maybe I said something and it's, geez, Derek, I apologize. I can sense that maybe what I just said, you didn't like that, or that turned you off, quite frankly. You say, yeah, I did. And here's why. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. If this client tells me that they didn't like something I said, is that not information?
That's very helpful, because ultimately you're connecting.
I know
with
where
people.
not to go now. We got to know where to go and where not to go.
Yeah.
The idea behind active listening is, it's very simple, but as I've said many times when we talk, easy to do, easy not to do, because we tend to want to talk. I'll tell you an example, a really horrible example of bad communication, or a really good example of bad communication is, and I was terrible just at one time, is I would say something to the client and then they would address what I said. And I'm so busy trying to figure out how I'm going to respond to what they're saying that I'm not even listening.
Yeah.
And I'm ready to get in. I got to get in. I got to jump in. And so if you find yourself when you're communicating with somebody, interrupting them, cutting them off, not giving them a chance to finish what they were saying, you, my friends, are horrible communicators. You cannot do that. Just listen.
Yeah.
And you listen with your eyes and just watch and listen. And they will tell you, if you listen really well, they'll tell you how to sell them a car today.
Right.
They'll tell you how to achieve your goals today, but you got to shut up.
Or I've seen salespeople, Jim, and I'm guilty. I've done this before myself, is they'll just start listing out all the features. Jim, this has heated seats. It's got amazing rear windshield wiper. It's got a backup camera. It's got a 360 camera. It's in the perfect color. And that's helpful if I wanted to know all that. I'd rather somebody ask me, what are you looking for in a vehicle? Right.
Well, even beyond that, like in your vehicle purchase, we carried it to a whole nother level, but in your vehicle purchase, starting from the very beginning of hi, how are you, to actually buying the vehicle and actually owning the vehicle down the road, like 5 years from now. In your experience of your car relationship, what is most important to you? Wow. That's a heavy question. So I trained on this question. What is most important to you? And they would say, A. Great. I'm going to write that down. If you don't mind, write it down. What's next most important to you? B. What is next most important to you? F. And I'm not commenting on any of these things.
Right.
So hear me out on this. This is really important. So we get the list of what's important to them, and we got it all documented, written down. And then I would say to you, Derek, I would go back and say, Derek, you mentioned those heated seats. Let's role play a little bit. You mentioned those heated seats were really important to you.
Yeah.
Beyond the obvious, why is that so important to you?
We live in Pennsylvania, Jim, and it gets pretty cold. My wife, she's a pretty short, small, petite woman, and she's 5'1", and she gets pretty cold. And so to keep her warm while driving, so she can stay focused on the road, and it's just a nice feature to have that you don't have to bundle up. And she may want to set the temperature in the back differently for the kids. And so she might want a different heating level than them, and that gives her the comfort to be able to do that. And so really thinking about my wife in this process, I know for her, she said heated leather seats. She genuinely said this is a really important thing for her because the leather, so I'm already giving you more, but the leather, if we spill something on it, we can just wipe it off. And the heated would be really beneficial to her in the winter. So that's real. I know we're role playing, but
no, it is real.
It's
real.
real.
It is real. And so shouldn't we make sure the vehicle has those seats, number one? And shouldn't we take the time to show the client how the seats work, what they do? Now let's actually sit in them. Let's have a seat. Watch this. Boom, I push the buttons. And by the way, if I turn on a heated seat, I don't care if it's 90 degrees outside. Initially, it's going to feel pretty dang good. Heat feels good.
It feels good on your back, too.
Feels good on your back, right? If you have a sore back, whatever. So you turn the heated seat on, they can see it, or they can feel it, excuse me. And that's the point, is that was important to the client. And now we showed them that it has that, here's how it works, and they like it. Do you see where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
So what's next most important to you? I really want to have a nice radio. Okay, let's see what kind of radio we got. And we go through that. And we just keep going through.
But you start to really get, here's the top 3 to 5 things they're most interested in, they most value. And it really, it sets you up how to really help them, right?
But, and also knowing the why. So we talk about, in Rethink You 2.0, we talk about setting a goal, which is really important. It's got to be clear, concise, direct. We got to be able to draw a picture of it. So that's the goal setting portion. And then we want to ask ourselves many times, why is this so important? Why? And a lot of times, after we ask enough whys, it comes down to, because of the kids.
Yeah.
Because of my wife. It'll come down to some situation
Yep.
that makes us very emotional. So that would be the goal setting portion. But in this particular case, why are those heated seats important? It came out that it was your wife. And so that's emotional. That gets very emotional.
Yeah.
It gets very glassy eyed. It gets emotional. And then you hit on the kids. And so that's how this goes. So we want to get the client emotionally involved with the transaction rather than giving them a list of all the features the car has. That's not going to get them emotionally involved. What's going to get them emotionally involved is to figure out what is really important to that particular individual and why. And then if we can develop a list of these top 5, top 10, top whatever they are, the 20 things, and we just take our time to write them all down, and then we go through the whys on each one and take a note about that.
Yeah.
And then we can say to Derek, you said earlier about those heated seats and how important that was to you because of your wife. You did say that, and I love that. I think that's great. Are these heated seats what you want? Do they work for you? Do you feel like we've accomplished that one? Check. So I got 1 out of 20, and I keep going down the list.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I've got my 20 accomplished. Now I can look Derek Kelly right in the eye and say, Derek, we've covered everything you told me that was important to you. We've covered it all. Is there anything else that came up in the meantime that maybe you forgot about or didn't think about? Is there anything else you can think about that's really important to you?
And I'm sure at some point people say price, Jim. I'm sure that's
absolutely
like at the end of their list somewhere.
Price is important.
Right?
I agree. But is there anything else that came up that you really wanted us to hone in on?
I don't think so. I think that was it.
I think we have all the ingredients for a sell.
Yep.
What do you think?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go get those numbers for you.
Yeah. Yeah. And you see this work, gang, in so many different industries. Like I was meeting with a gentleman, Jim, the other day, and we are building him a website. So it's a different industry. It's not selling cars. It's helping people build websites, connect with their audience, grow their business, do marketing, branding, those types of things. And he said, man, I really want search functionality on our website. He's an industrial client, so he sells more B2B. These big...
Explain B2B, excuse me, for the audience.
So business to business.
Right,
he sells to other businesses in the industrial space. And so often that's packing supplies or big things that protect things on trucks. And I said, well, why is search is everywhere? It's not the most complex feature, but why is that so important to you? And he said, I want an ease of experience for when people come and they search for something. I want them to easily be able to find it. And we have a lot of different SKUs, right? This palette might be different from this one, this thing. And there are a lot of different things. So he wants people to easily find what they need so they can serve them better. So simple, but it works across industries of you're really understanding that seems like a simple feature to me. What do you really want from that? And it's saying, we really ultimately want to help people have a good experience. So they continue to work with us.
That's
and
lovely.
we can help them get what they need. And so you just see that in so many areas. You talk a lot about, you love this restaurant called the Greenberry. They're really healthy smoothies, bowls. There's
and
something,
nice people.
There's something about that that's relevant to something you care deeply about. And so as we talk about the art of communication and sales, there's something about that experience that is valuable to Jim Shorkey.
Yes.
Maybe it's the healthy food. Maybe it's the atmosphere. Maybe it's the people, right? Maybe
it's the stroke recovery. There's so many things that I did my research that I need to do to recover from my stroke. I had a hemorrhagic stroke. I had 3 brain bleeds, shoulda, coulda, woulda died. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So in order to come back from that, I have to do, people say, I'm throwing everything but the kitchen sink at this thing. But guess what? Jim Shorkey's throwing the kitchen sink at it as well. I'm throwing the kitchen sink at it. So there's no chances being taken. If there's something that somebody tells me, hey, here's a good idea, I'll look at it, I'll ponder it, I'll talk to my doctors. Yeah, that's a good idea. I'm doing it. Okay? So I'm going to get better. I'm going to get better. I guarantee it.
And who knew that us talking about the art of good communication and sales brought us to the Greenberry, and that's part of what you're doing to be healthier.
Oh, yeah. And in all due respect, when I'm a stroke victim, which I am, communication, unfortunately, I just finished a book. A fella had a stroke, and he never did recover from, he stuttered. He couldn't communicate as well. He couldn't write. He just couldn't do it. He could write, but it took forever. And it was for him embarrassing and everything like that. So he couldn't write other than taking, it was just such a task for him. And I look at myself, I read it, just finished it. A good friend of mine gave it to me, and I thought, man, am I blessed. Holy cow. I can write. I can communicate. I can talk. I can do these videos.
Yeah.
Derek, I'm going to throw you a curveball.
Uh-huh.
When I was in the hospital, don't make me cry.
All right.
When did I tell you we were going to start doing these videos? My recollection was it was January the 1st. And I think when we did the first video,
Yeah.
we were ahead of schedule.
Yeah. I mean, we
And
did
there was
it like
concern about whether I'd be able to
October.
do it because
Yeah.
of where I was at and recovering and whatnot. Because it is fatiguing.
Yeah.
Like when I'm done here, I'm going to do my exercise and I will probably have to lay down and take a nap. I am a miracle.
Yeah.
I am a miracle. I honestly, sincerely, from in here, believe that I am a miracle. I believe in here that I shouldn't necessarily be here. And if I shouldn't be here, I shouldn't be here right now. I shouldn't be doing this video right now. I shouldn't be able to talk to you. And from the research I've done, this is a really unusual circumstance that I am able to do this, that I am able to communicate, that I am able to actively listen. My eyes are working good. My ears are working good. It's not how it turns out for the vast majority of stroke victims.
And most people don't know. If I would talk to you now versus a year and a half ago, I don't know if I'd know much of a difference, honestly. That's not me like toting you up. It's
no,
more
I don't think
just
you would.
like,
I think I'm a miracle, and I think I've done very well. And but I've got work to do. And what's really driving me is this idea that when I was coming up, I was bankruptcy. I'm in it back in 1998, and I went to Mr. Hamilton, and he was so kind, and he gave me such great information. And then all my think tanks from there, they just kept giving and giving. And I knew that the success that I had with the Jim Shorkey Family Auto Group was really not me. It was really not me. It was the advice, and then the part that was me was I got into execution of that advice. But without the advice, there would have been no execution, and there would be no Jim Shorkey Family Auto Group as you know it today. So I got a lot of trophies. I got a lot of accolades. To this day, it's really uncanny. If I meet somebody and I introduce myself, they
like,
think
let's
of
have
me
a photo
as,
shoot. Yeah.
They think of me as being a celebrity, and I'm clearly not, but they think of it that way. And so I get a lot of accolades, but I knew that it really wasn't me. It was Mr. Hamilton and what he did for me. And so I felt very strongly towards the end of my career in the automobile business that someday I needed to get this information out to the world, to that one person. The world's been very munificent for Jim Shorkey. I have a lot of really cool stuff and cool situations and cool relationships. And I have 9 grandchildren, and can I at least try? So if I don't make it, if I die, well, the mission dies with me. In that regard, for me, it dies. Hopefully, because of the work we've done, it would carry on. Yeah. And I think that would be the case. But wouldn't it be cool if somebody said to you changed my life? I talked to I'm working with a young lady, lovely, I won't give you her name. And she said that, excuse me, I'm very emotional right now. And she said that I changed her life. Yeah. That's a huge responsibility. Yeah. To change somebody's life is a huge responsibility. It's massive. And so when I think about that, I changed her life. What do I have to not provide the format, the structure for changing that life? And all I did with this close friend of mine now is all I did was I taught her some elements of Rethink You 2.0. That's all I did. Yeah. And what are we charging for that program right now? What can I tell the audience?
So that program right now is $397 at this very moment. Yep. And I think it's worth every dollar 10 times X.
Yeah, you can look at it.
X.
Yeah, you can look at it as it cost you $397 to get involved with this program. You can do that, and that arguably could be a lot of money to you. At one time, it would have been a lot of money to me. But my question to you is not what it costs you to buy the program. My question to you is, what does it cost you to not buy the program? What does it cost you to not buy the program? It could be it costs you $3,000 to not buy the program. It could be that it costs you $30,000 to not buy the program. It could be that it costs you $300,000. We're getting to some big numbers now. $300,000 to not buy the program. Is it possible that it could cost you $1 million?
Yeah.
Is it possible? Because these are principles that work not every other time, not 1 in 10. These principles followed correctly work every single time. There's no exceptions. And so am I going to make 100% recovery from my stroke? You betcha, because I'm following the program.
Yeah.
Is Steve Gardner going to do incredible things with his business? You betcha. Is Derek, because we're all following a program.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the program works every single time. There's no exceptions. Yeah. And how do we know it works? Because this is what I did to build the Jim Shorkey Family Group. Chuck Bellina, who unfortunately has left our planet, and I, and Derek, and Brad, and Steve Gardner, we sat down and we discussed this and we discussed this. We mapped it out.
So guys, you can just hear how Mr. Hamilton invested in Jim, teaching him the art of communication and sales, but also teaching him strategy that then Jim went and executed. And then Jim, through all of his life and all of these moments, ups and downs, met this young woman he's talking about and have passed that same thing on.
Yes.
There may be people in the future that never meet Jim Shorkey and were impacted by his life. But really, it's this process we've refined called Rethink You 2.0 that we've seen help countless hundreds of people.
Yes.
So click the link below and subscribe. Let us know how, I know this video was impactful for me, but let us know how impactful this content was for you. And check out that program, not just for us, but for you, right? It's what it costs you not to do it. Can this impact your life? Can this change your life? We both really believe it can.
We're not afraid of the negativity. If you don't like what we're saying, please tell us. We can't fix it if we don't know about it.
Yep.
So we're talking in terms of comments and reviews and these kind of things. We want the good.
Yep.
Of course we do. Of course we do. We're very proud of what we're doing here. But we also want the bad.
Yeah.
And we're not going to be happy about the bad, but the bad is, it's just, again, it's bad as a result is information, right? And so if we're doing something wrong, we need to know about it so that we can have our conversations like we are right now, and let's go about fixing it. That would make a great video. What did we do to fix it? Yeah. So we want the good, we want the bad, we want the ugly. If you don't like what we're saying, tell us. We're not afraid of that.
Nope.
I've been punched in the face a number of times over the years. I've been hit in the head and banged around. I remember something Joe Rogan said recently on his podcast. He said, if I'm going to be in the trenches with somebody and we're fighting a fight, I want somebody that's got some scars. I thought that was pretty profound.
Yeah.
I want some scars.
Yeah.
I want to know that this guy, girl, has been in battle and has been shot at and has been wounded and has done some shooting. If I'm going to be in a battle, I want somebody that's got some scars. And really, that's just a figurative way of saying I want somebody that's got the experience and the knowledge that I can learn from. Yeah. And so we've said this for 1,000 years, Derek, if you're the smartest girl in the room, you're in the wrong room. If you're the smartest guy in the room, you're in the wrong room. You need to get out of that room and get in a room where people are more talented, more successful, more knowledgeable than you, and then start asking questions. And we talked about active communication, active listening. Shut up and listen. Stop talking and listen to what they're saying, and don't interrupt them. They're saying, and then you're interrupting and saying, and they're going to stop talking. So just listen. Listen to what they're saying. You'll see the clues. Successful people always leave clues. Unsuccessful people always leave clues. Open up your eyes, open up your ears, watch. When you see somebody, doing stupid crap, that's a clue. When you see somebody doing really intelligent stuff, that's a clue. And start to copy. Make sense?
Yeah. Guys, leave us the good, the bad, and the
ugly
in the comments below. Thanks, Jim.
My pleasure.
See you guys on the next episode.